Let's bring in Saladin Ambar into this conversation. He's an associate professor of political science at the Eagleton Institute of Politics at Rutgers University. Let's start with this address to the nation last night. Many analysts were convinced he was going to declare a national emergency to build this wall. Were you surprised he didn't, and what did this speech achieve?
Well, I'm not really sure this speech achieved anything, Mike. This has just been the perfect storm of indifference, ignorance, irresponsibility on the president's part. He took his 8 minutes, that precious 8 minutes, frankly, that presidents have used quite responsibly over the decades, and really just used it to reiterate known tropes that he's espoused over the last several years about immigration and the dangers therein, at least as far as he's concerned. He really didn't move the ball at all, and it was really a sad case of rejecting really what I think most Americans want, which is for federal workers to return to their jobs, to be productive, and to move the economy along and to take care of their families. It was really the height of irresponsibility, frankly.
You talked about it being a sad case. I guess things got somewhat sadder today. Talk to us about what happened today. I mean, Democrats saying Trump pulled a temper tantrum, him describing this as just a waste of time meeting with the Democrats.
Well, it gets to the point of irresponsibility. To walk out of a meeting with the opposition party when federal workers are just trying to earn their paychecks and feed their families is really just the mark of utter indifference to the plight of ordinary people. It may have been a populist message that helped the president achieve the presidency, but it certainly doesn't appear to be something that resonates with his heart, because it's just mind-boggling that you would walk away 2 minutes or less into a meeting. It's just, I study the presidency, and we talk about the power of persuasion that modern presidents have wielded going all the way back to the middle of the last century. And to see a president walk out on ordinary workers who are just trying to get a resolution to their current situation is just it's just irresponsible. There's no other word for it.
Let me ask you about this, because I spoke to an immigration attorney just a few years back who described the entire system as broken. I mean, he talked about immigration cases backlogged for years, and the government shutdown has closed those courts, which is only going to increase that problem. And the president of the National Association of Immigration Judges is quoted as saying there's an irony of shutting down the immigration courts when the whole issue of the government shutdown is about immigration. We've also got the Union for Border Protection Officers suing for back pay. They're going to miss their pay because of all of this. Talk to me about that. I mean, this is a complex issue, and you have a president who's just fixated on one specific aspect of this, which is this wall he wants.
Well, that gets to the heart of the ignorance. I'm not sure the president understands, number one, how the wall works in terms of an immigration policy and its relation to a more comprehensive aspect or the more comprehensive nature of immigration that you alluded to. I think he thinks erecting a wall is somehow a resolution to a crisis that is exaggerated and really doesn't really address the overall problems of DACA and families that are trying to, seek asylum at the border. It's just a multifaceted problem that I think the president thinks can be resolved with a concrete or steel wall. And then the other ignorant aspect is that federal workers work all over the country. They're not just within the Beltway in Washington. And I think until Republican senators from those states where federal workers are employed begin to push back against the president, we're likely to see this impasse continue into the foreseeable future.
How long?
Really unfortunate.
How long before that starts to happen, though, where the lawmakers themselves start to feel the pressure because their constituents are suffering?
Well, there were reports that Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and others have slowly but surely began to try to get the attention of the president to alert him to the fact that they're suffering, and his voters, frankly, are suffering as a result of this. I can't imagine that it would go beyond another week or so without senators like Lisa Murkowski and others calling the president on the carpet and beginning to openly reject this shutdown, which was, as he said, of his own making. And so, unfortunately, workers shouldn't have to wait another day, let alone another week or two. But this president doesn't seem to have much in the way of heart for their plight.
Professor Ambar, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us.